Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Tom Jensen. My guest this week is Jessica Howell. Jessica is the ANS coordinator for Game and Fish. ANS stands for Aquatic Nuisance Species. Jessica, exactly what is an aquatic nuisance species?
An aquatic nuisance species is a species of plants or animals that were brought in from somewhere else, so they are not native to the area, and they do some type of harm to our waters, whether that's ecological harm or they harm the way that we recreate, whether that's fishing or swimming or boating, or they can also cause other problems like economical problems, such as clogging pipes and infrastructure for power plants and water treatment plants.
Do we have any of them in North Dakota now?
We do. We have 4 species of aquatic nuisance species that we are concerned about. 2 are plants, one is fish, and one is the zebra mussel, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of.
I know you mentioned zebra mussels, and you also mentioned clogging water systems and things like that. I would guess the zebra mussels in the Red River that we've discovered already have the potential, at least, to do the most harm.
Right now, I would say that's probably fairly accurate. The zebra mussels are a very small organism. They're about 2 inches when they're fully grown. But those small organisms can reproduce very quickly and take over an area. And part of the problem is, like we mentioned, clogging pipes. So they get into a pipe, they clog it, and it can cause damage. If it's a power plant, they can overheat and cause a lot of problems there. If it's a water supply, they can actually clog pipes to the point where you can't get any water out of them. So that's definitely a problem. It costs a lot of money and time for companies or cities to take care of zebra mussels, keep them from growing, or to periodically clean out their pipes. And so that cost is usually kicked down the road a little, as to say, to the consumers.
Okay. Is there anything, once they're established, and they are in the Red River, that we as an agency can do to eradicate them, to keep them from spreading?
Right. There have been some successful eradication attempts in the United States. Never on a river that I'm aware of, but and generally the eradication attempts are very expensive, and they're very difficult, and they require a very specific set of circumstances. So one example is drawing down a lake and letting it sit over winter. Well, we can't do that with the Red River. We can't just turn off a faucet. Another example would be using potash in a quarry lake in Virginia, which was, again, it was a unique situation, and they weren't able to, or we wouldn't be able to replicate that in North Dakota.
So the best thing that we can do basically is to keep them from spreading.
That's right. Prevention is the best tool that we have, whether it's preventing them from coming in from other locations into the state or spreading from the Red River to new locations in North Dakota.
We've developed some new laws specifically to keep them from being spread. Can you explain those a little bit?
Sure. So for several years we've had certain regulations regarding not bringing in live bait, not bringing in live aquatic vegetation, removing vegetation from boats and trailers and other aquatic equipment that comes out of a lake or stream. But new for this year is when you take your boat out of a lake or a stream, we ask that you pull the drain plug and keep that out while you're transporting it. And it doesn't just apply to drain plugs, it also applies to other devices that might hold back water. So if that's something on your live well or your bait well in your boat as well that allows that water to drain out, it also needs to be open and during transport.
This isn't just voluntary either. This is state law. It's mandatory.
That's correct. It is state law. And in addition, at the Red River, you're no longer allowed to take bait away in water. So at most of our waters around the state, it is legal to transport live bait away in 5 gallons or less. However, at the Red River now, we are very concerned about water moving the larval stage of zebra mussels. And so we want to make sure that there's no water being moved from the Red River And so when you're angling on the Red River, we not just ask, but we now say that you have to drain the water and leave it at the Red River, and don't dump your bait into the river, and don't leave it on shore. You'll need to take that away with you and dispose of it somewhere else.
Zebra mussels are, of course, the largest threat that we face now. There are others.
Yes, there are a lot of different aquatic nuisance species, some of which we have in North Dakota, and a lot more that we don't. And we want to keep those species out. So things like northern snakehead fish, or spiny water flea, or rusty crayfish, they're all moved in different ways. Some are transported as bait, some are transported in water unknowingly, and some are actually, like the northern snakehead, are in a popular aquarium fish that oftentimes get dumped when they get too big. Kind of like, you hear people flushing their goldfish or something like that. And we don't want to see that happen. So we recommend that you always clean, drain, and dry your equipment every time you use it. We also recommend that when you have a pet or a plant in an aquarium that you no longer want to care for, you can no longer care for, that you find somewhere to donate it. A lot of pet shops will take those back, and there's different groups that can do that as well. So not dumping things into the environment, because either they won't survive, a lot of the times they won't survive, and so you're not actually saving them from anything. Or if they do survive, they can start a new population sometimes and cause a lot of problems. So we ask that you don't do that as well.
The big key is for people just to be diligent, right?
That's right. Kind of use common sense. If it came from the lake, leave it there, and don't bring anything new into it. Kind of like trash. We don't want to see trash brought into our lakes and litter everywhere. So it kind of goes along the same lines there.
Jessica, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
There will be more deer licenses available this year than last. The department is making 49,000 licenses available in the 2016 lottery, which is an increase of 5,725 licenses. Applications are now available for the lottery. You can apply online by logging onto the Game & Fish website at gf.nd.gov. Follow the links, fill out the application, and pay the fee with a credit card. You can also fill out a paper application and send that in. Those are available at licensed vendors and other sporting goods outlets and should be available around mid-May. Or you can apply over the phone by calling 800-406-6409. The deadline to apply for the lottery is Wednesday, June 1st. The 2016 firearms deer season opens November 4th at noon and continues through November 20th. For Jessica Howell and the rest of the staff here at North Dakota Game & Fish, thanks for joining us for Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.